it is me, Jack. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to get rid of reading slumps. Right now, I am currently going out of my reading slump period. I hate reading slumps. If you like them, why? But if you've ever been in a reading slump, you understand my dilemma with them and a lot of other people's dilemmas with them. If you've ever had one, if you feel like you're in one right now, I am here for you. We are all here for you. We are going to give you an internet hug right now because it is not fun at all. I feel like there are a lot of different reading slumps, or sort of the cause and the effect being the reading slump. For me, the one I was in right now is because I've been way too busy that it's almost impossible for me to find time to read. So then I didn't even realize that it's been like 2 weeks until I picked up a book. But when I tried to pick up a book, I just couldn't get into it. I have also had the experience where I have read so many books in a row that I feel like towards the last sort of bit of it, I'm not really enjoying what I'm reading. I'm just reading to read, and then that sort of gets me into a reading slump when I realize that. And of course, I have always dealt with the reading slump after a mourning period in which you cannot pick up a book after you've read one that literally has ripped out your heart and torn into a million pieces. So if you have been in any of those situations and yet again are in any of those situations, I hope this little video will help you out. The first tip I have is to do something else. Now, if you're in a reading slump like the one I'm currently dealing with and you have been doing other things, which is why you sort of haven't been reading, and then when you try to get back into reading, it's almost impossible, this is a little bit of a different situation. But if you are in a type of reading slump where you have been reading non-stop, or you finally pick up this one book and it puts you in a mourning period and you don't feel like you could ever read again, just take a little bit of a break, watch some Netflix, hang out with friends, go outside into the real world, maybe if you want to, and just try to do something else to keep your mind off of it. I think sometimes the worst thing when it comes to reading slumps is people just feel guilty about not reading, when in reality you should be enjoying reading and don't necessarily feel the guilt when you're not. So just take some pressure off of yourself and do something fun. If you are though in a reading slump situation like the one I'm in right now, in which you've been sort of busy for weeks or days and you try to get back into reading, it's almost like you're completely out of your element, then try to actually go back and reread some of your old favorites. I love rereading books. It is one of my favorite experiences, just because particularly when it comes to my favorite books ever, getting to reread them, especially when a lot of time has passed, is such a different experience because you sort of know what's going to happen, obviously, but you get to sort of see things in a different light because you have changed and grown in different ways because time has passed. And this tip sort of reminds me of the next one I have, which is to pick up a book from one of your favorite authors. If you are a little bit more familiar with a certain author and their characters and the way they sort of style everything out, definitely look into their other books and see if one sort of piques your interest. One of my favorite authors is Jennifer L. Armentrout. I really enjoy her books a lot. They are just very fast and entertaining. I love the sass her characters have, and I know and I'm very familiar with her work. So if I do find myself in a reading slump, I love seeing what other books she has come out with because that girl writes so many books. So yet again, definitely look into the authors and maybe into different new releases that you haven't checked out from people that you know and have read books from. The next tip I have is to switch up the type of genre you're reading. So I always do this when I get into a reading slump because majority of the time I find that I am reading, but I'm reading the same exact thing, and sometimes when it gets towards like the 7th or 8th fantasy novel book I have read, it feels as though I'm reading the same exact story over and over again. So I find it is so important for me personally, and maybe you are the same way, to switch completely the genre I'm reading. So let's say I am doing fantasy, I will go to contemporary, or maybe even check out a genre that I haven't read a lot from, like horror or sci-fi. Just switching it up and completely changing the atmosphere the book has can definitely get you out of a reading slump. And you never know, especially if you check out a genre you haven't really touched upon, you might find you really love it. The next tip I have is something that I didn't even notice I was doing when I was in a reading slump, but I caught myself doing it and I was like, wait, so weird. But whenever I'm in a reading slump, I know notice that I sort of take a step back from the booktube community. Yet again, I don't do this on purpose. It's almost like since I'm not reading, I don't really get involved that much into the booktube community because I don't really have a lot to say. And so when I take this step back, I'm sort of isolating myself in a way, and I'm not really getting as involved and sharing that love of reading with other people. And for me, I find that whenever I make videos or comment or look on Twitter and get more involved into the booktube community, it inspires me to want to read more or to pick up a certain book because I'm watching someone recommend me it. So I would definitely go more deep into the community if you are like me and happen into a reading slump, just because yet again, hearing other people just passionately talk about reading can inspire you to read yourself. So those are my reading slump tips. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are in a reading slump, yet again, I am giving you the biggest internet hug because I feel you on such a level. I hope these tips do help, and if you guys have any more tips, please leave them down below in the comment section for anyone else that is dealing with a reading slump. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!